Hi everybody, in this video you're going to determine the key features from an equation. So fill in the blanks, enter the intercepts as ordered pairs, aka points, then graph the parabola given in vertex form. So vertex form is y equals ax minus h squared plus k. Notice that originally it is x minus h. This is a minus. H and K make up our vertex, okay? So now when we look at our example, we see here that we have, first of all, A. A is going to be the number in front. So our case, A is negative. A is negative, which means our graph is concave down. When A is negative, our graph is concave downward. Next, we need to consider the vertex. Well, vertex form reveals the vertex, what H and K are. In our case, our H is, so this is supposed to be a minus, but instead it's a plus. That means that when they plugged it in, it was originally X minus a negative 2. So that's how it became a positive, plus. So negative, negative makes a plus. So that means our H is negative 2. Our Y coordinate is 1 for our vertex. So K is 1. Therefore, our vertex is negative 2, 1. The axis of symmetry divides the parabola in half. So the equation for the axis of symmetry is going to be the x-coordinate of the vertex. So the x-coordinate of our vertex is negative 2. Therefore, our axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Now we're ready to graph our function. So we graph our function using this tool, and we need actually 2 points in order to make our graph. So we're going to actually have to solve this parabola for another point. Let's go ahead and do the y-intercept. Let's find the y-intercept. When you're looking for the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0. So here we have our function. Y is equal to negative x plus 2 squared plus 1. We're going to let x equal 0. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put the number 0. And that's going to give us our y-intercept. And we can use that to graph. And then we're going to use the order of operations to solve for the y-coordinate. So 0 plus 2 is 2 squared plus 1. 2 squared is 4 plus 1. Y is equal to negative 1 times 4, which is negative 4. Anytime you see a negative out there, that's like saying negative 1. So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 plus 1, which gives us a negative 3. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So let's use the point negative 2, 1 and 0, negative 3 to graph the function. So negative 2, 1 and 0, negative 3 will allow us to graph this function. All right, our next example. Fill in the blanks, enter intercepts as ordered pairs, aka points, then graph the parabola in standard form. So standard form of a quadratic is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The first question that we have is to determine the concavity. Does the parabola open upward or downward? So like we did for the first equation, we look at the A, and A is negative. Therefore, when A is negative, our graph is concave downward. Now let's look at the vertex. In order to find the vertex in standard form, first you have to identify A, B, and C. So A in this situation is going to be -1 because the number in front of x squared is -1. B is going to be -4 because the number in front of x is -4. And C is going to be -3 because the number at the end by itself, the third term, the constant term, is -3. Next step is to evaluate x equals -b over 2a to find the x coordinate. So x is equal to -b over 2a. So x is equal to negative, and we're going to replace the b with -4 over 2a. So we're going to replace the a with -1. A negative times a negative, so negative times a -4 gives me a +4. 2 times -1 gives me a -2. And so x is equal to 4 divided by -2, which is -2. We also found the axis of symmetry by finding this. So this is the x coordinate of the vertex, but it's also the axis of symmetry. So x is equal to -2. Now we're going to go to step 3. Evaluate the function for the x coordinate of the vertex to find the y coordinate of the vertex. So my function is y equals -x squared minus 4x minus 3. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to substitute it for -2. So y equals -2 squared minus 4 times -2 minus 3. Now we're going to follow the order of operations to simplify it. So y is equal to -2 squared is a +4 minus 4 times -2 minus 3. Y is equal to -1 times 4, which gives me a -4. -4 times -2 gives me a +8 minus 3. Now we're going to work from left to right to finish it using PEMDAS. So -4 plus 8 is a +4 minus 3. 4 minus 3 is a +1. So my vertex is -2, +1. Finally, we need to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the parabola crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept is a point where x is equal to 0. So I am going to take my function and I am going to plug in the number 0 for x. So y is equal to -x squared minus 4x minus 3. Everywhere I see a x, I'm going to put the number 0. So y is equal to -0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 3. When you follow order of operations for this, you end up with y is equal to -3 because 0 minus 3 is -3. So my y-intercept is 0 because that's the number that I plugged in for x, -3. Notice that my y-intercept is the last number, which is c. Notice that my y-intercept is the last number up here, which is c. So that always happens in standard form, that the constant term is the y-intercept. So now I'm going to use this tool to graph my function. All I need is 2 points. So I have -2, 1, and 0, -3. And graph the points. graph the function rather. On to our next example. This is intercept form. And in intercept form, it says fill in the blanks under the intercepts as an ordered pair, aka points, the graph of the parabola given in intercept form. So y is equal to x plus 6, x plus 4. Another word for intercept form is factored form. You'll see it used interchangeably. When we say factored form and intercept form, they mean the same thing. So sometimes you'll see the letter M being used for the zeros. Sometimes you'll see R sub 1 being used for the zeros. Sometimes you'll see P and Q being used for the zeros. It really doesn't matter what the letter is. If you notice, the structure is still the same. A still comes first, and then you have your factor, your two factors. All right. So, if first part of the question says, does the parabola open upward or downward? So once again, we look at A, and A here, there is nothing there. That means our A is a positive 1. And since our A is a positive 1, that means that our graph is concaved upward. That means that our graph is concaved upward. Given the x-intercepts of the graph, list both points separately by a comma. Okay, so I have my factored form here, and I simply need to solve for the intercept. The way I do that is using the zero product property. The zero product property says if I have two factors that when I multiply them together give me 0, then that means one of the factors is 0. Either A is 0 or B is 0. Well, Ms. Lawrence, what does that mean about this situation here? Well, here I have these factors, and I'm saying that they're equal to 0. That means that the x minus m is equal to 0 or x minus n is equal to 0. So what I need to do here is I need to say x plus 6 is equal to 0, or I need to solve for x plus 4 is equal to 0 to find the zeros. So solve the one-step equation. So x is equal to negative 6 here. Solve the second equation by doing the opposite, subtracting 4 from both sides. Here we subtracted 6 from both sides. Bring down the x, and x is equal to negative 4. So our zeros are negative 6, 0, our x-intercepts rather, and negative 4, 0. And you should have enough space to put a comma in between these as it suggests. Separate by a comma. Now let's look for the vertex. In order to find the vertex, you have to find the x-intercepts, which we have, negative 6 and negative 4. You're going to find the average of the x-intercepts. So to find the average, you would take the x-intercepts, negative 6 and negative 4, and you're going to add them and divide by 2 because there's 2 of them to find the average. And that would give us the x-coordinate of the vertex, or our axis of symmetry. So negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5 is our axis of symmetry. And it's also the x-coordinate of our vertex. Now we're going to take that value and evaluate it into the function to find the y-coordinate. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put in negative 5. So y is equal to x plus 6, x plus 4. And I'm going to substitute negative 5 in for every x value. So negative 5 plus 6 and negative 5 plus 4. Then I'm going to use the order of operations to simplify. Y is equal to negative 5 plus 6 is a positive 1. Negative 5 plus 4 is a negative 1. Positive 1 and negative 1 is negative 1. Therefore, our vertex is negative 5, negative 1. And that's how you find the key features from an equation. Look out for the next video.